Good morning. It's GT Media Reviews. This is your host Jamal Baraka, sitting here in Detroit, freezing, man. I don't spring, man. It's got to get here. I'm tired of this shit, man. I'm tired of it. Supposed to go see Captain Marvel this morning. It's freezing outside. My son's looking at me like, "Hey, Dad, we got to go see this movie," and I'm looking like, "Dog, I don't want to see it, but I heard it's okay." So this video is gonna be somewhat different from my other coverage of Captain Marvel. If you've been following me for a while, you know I've been trolling this movie. I've also been saying that the movie probably was gonna be a lot better than what people on other channels were saying it was gonna be. Not because any the feminism or anything, the messaging behind it. I just think that there was too much talent involved in this movie for it to be bad. And on another note, I don't think I've talked to anybody that's actually seen this movie that said it was a bad movie. The most I've gotten is that the movie was meh. It wasn't great. It was okay. I don't think anybody's feelings were hurt walking out of the movie. So I think most of the problems with Captain Marvel are stemming from the marketing and some of the comments that Brie Larson made. That being said, the topic of this video is going to be about review bombing and why we really shouldn't review bomb in any direction. Review bombing is one of those things that I ran into the past few years about movies. What usually happens, the marketing behind a movie says something dumb, and then audience scores drive scores either way up or way down, depending on what it is. It's not just movies. You see this in video games. You see this across television shows or whatever. So I think when people review bomb, it's usually because critics are usually in favor of something, and it's almost to the point where it's a reaction to the fact that this movie, you don't really have honest critics out there. I think that's where review bombing really comes from. But as an adult or just a fan of something, if a movie is bad, it's going to be bad. So I don't think anybody really needs to go in and make bot accounts or just go into an aggregate website to drive a score down. The controversy yesterday was that Rotten Tomatoes had maybe deleted maybe 54,000 or thousands of user reviews on Captain Marvel that were driving the score down to, like, I think at the lowest it was like 36 or 37%. Now it's sitting at about 52%, so it jumped up overnight. But here's my perspective. If you walked into an aggregate site and said, "Hey, I'm gonna drive this score down to like 20 or 30% or 9% or something like that," and you probably haven't seen the movie, you walked in immediately with an agenda to say, "Hey, I'm gonna review bomb this movie to hell and I don't care, blah blah blah," that review probably is not valid, and it's not really doing anything to help this movie. So the audience score here is at 52%. We can look at another movie that I really couldn't stand. I think it's Iron Man 2. I couldn't stand Iron Man 2. It's the worst Iron Man movie, and I think it's probably the worst MCU movie. In hindsight, it's better because it had so many connecting threads to the other movies. I don't think you get the Winter Soldier without Iron Man 2. I don't think you get Luke Cage without Iron Man 2 because of the hammer tech that was mentioned in that TV show. And then there was also the Hulk. The Hulk came out on Rotten Tomatoes at 67-70%. So these are average scores, average movies. I predict, looking at the ratings here, because what you have to honestly look at is that the audience score is being driven down. So there's an active agenda with this score. If the active agenda with this score was not there, I honestly believe, and I think this is going to be what happens in the next week or two, these two scores are probably going to be closer to 70-70. I think this may be one of those cases where it's basically in line with Iron Man 2 and the Hulk. May not, it may happen, but I think that's what's going to happen with Captain Marvel. So a little bit later today, I think I mentioned it earlier in this recording. I'm not editing or anything like that. I'm gonna go see it with my kid, or I may do a review later today. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna come out here and rail against this movie anymore. I think that's beating a dead horse, and that's part of the reason why I haven't done any real commentary this week on anything. It just got to the point where the commentary was so negative that even I had to step back and say, you know what the hell am I doing? What the hell is going on social media? This isn't really productive or anything like that. And I just stepped back and said, I'm just gonna give the movie its fair shake. One way or another, we can have a discussion about the stuff Brie Larson was talking about, but that stuff needs to be taken in a vacuum. Captain Marvel is not Brie Larson. There's thousands of people involved and thousands of hours involved in this movie. So it's very important that, not necessarily that these movies succeed, it's very important that you be objective about these movies. There's a guy that sat back in the office for like 2,000 hours doing whatever the hell he was doing, and this movie fails, he may not get another job. I mean, that's just the reality of it. We in 99, well, most of us out here are in similar situations. You know, you fail at work, you might not get called back. So if it's for that guy, not Brie Larson or anybody else involved that have these weird marketing tactics or whatever, for the little guy, the little unsung hero that's been sitting back here doing digital effects for the past 4 months, go see Captain Marvel, judge it fairly, and just say how you feel. I mean, one way or another. But just driving a score down because you were turned off by the identity politics behind the scenes, that's, the movie's gonna speak for itself. And if the reviews are fake, then it's not helping anybody. And that's just where we are. So if you want to support GT Media Reviews, Garbage Tier Media, you can follow me on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Tumblr, anywhere. You can either find me at Jamal is Trash or GT Media Reviews. I normally have my website up. Matter of fact, I do have it up. You can check out any of my reviews. I usually do about 4 or 5 a week. That's gtmediareviews.com, or you can catch me across social media. I'm going to get more active next week. I just kind of got burned out with this. I had a string of really crap comics I was reading. It was like Stranger Things was, this series is terrible. It's very terrible. And I may just do a series review of it. This is garbage. You say garbage tier, this is it. I'm also going to do a review of Heroes in Crisis a little later today. And surprisingly, I read Sideways #10. I know it's canceled, The New Age of Heroes. That comic is amazing. I don't know what the hell happened to Dan DiDio, but he's turned that series around, and it's starting to get towards some of the potential of the earlier that I saw in the earlier issues. It's not just a reskin of Spider-Man. That character is doing a lot better. So I'm not going to drag this video out any longer than it needs to be. The focus should be on Captain Marvel this weekend, one way or another. Oh, last thing. What really concerns me about Captain Marvel is that the box office is being projected to be at like $150 or $160 million. But what's not being mentioned is that it's opened in pretty much every market to take advantage of International Women's Day yesterday. So if the movie has a strong box office and then it dies next week, that's going to be a real... It's not gonna, if that happens, the movie's not gonna have any legs. So when I see scores like 79% or 52%, what really concerns me is that if it's an average movie, it's not gonna get that repeat pop. So we will see, and I won't hold you up any morning because now I'm rambling. Thanks everyone. I appreciate the support, and I'm sorry for not getting these updates up. I'll try to do better. You all have a blessed day, and I'll be back later.